Okay, we're going to get started. First off, I want to apologize for those of you that weren't able to sign in yesterday. Still not sure why that happened, but this is the replay of it with some updates and some additional information. Second off, for all those of you that question whether I start my day off early, the clock on the wall says it is 2:01 a.m. in the morning. Got in last night about midnight, couple hour nap, a little short shower, and we are up and operating. We're going to talk about primarily today voice drops and the some of the scripts you can use. I don't want to set these up as the scripts that you're going to use, but I want to use these as kind of a basis and a guideline for you to use. So without further ado, let's get this started. Going to try to keep this short, so as soon as Jenny gets in here at around 6 a.m. Central Time, she can start getting this thing rendered and ready to go out. All right, we're going to break this down today. We're going to do this into 4 products, actually. Yesterday we talked about 3, but today we're going to stretch out to 4 products. We're going to talk about bank card. We're going to talk about POS systems and marketing. We're going to talk about merchant cash advance. And we picked up a new lender, and we're going to talk about consumer finance for the businesses. Let's start out with bank card. We're going to keep everything. We're going to try to keep everything as simple as we can. I'm a big believer in a short message with a strong call to action. You get too wordy, it's too easy for them to click it off before they know what to do. The first one is, are you still using an old-fashioned credit card terminal where you have to pay the processor and not get anything out of it? Find out how ours pays you. Call 911-555-9777. What we're pitching there is not only our Groove POS system, but also the fact that we've got other marketing tools that are tied in with it. And we can do that with an internal web-based product that comes from the processing side. Next one is a fear that a lot of the merchants have in the back of their head. They believe that they have no clue as to what their merchant statement actually says. They're scared to death of what's on it. And this plays a little bit upon that fear. And even though it's playing upon that fear, it is actually a true situation. Let me read through it here real quick for you. We have noticed a lot of credit card terminals that are not EMV and PCI compliant, and your processor is charging you for their mistake. Find out how to stop them now. Call 911-555-9777. Now, what happens is if a terminal is not EMV compliant, most of the processors are charging anywhere from $9.95 to $19.95 to $39.95 to transfer some pressure onto those merchants to pick the phone up and call them and find out what they need to do to get the charge off there. Trouble is most of the merchants won't pick up the phone and call to find out what that charge is and get it taken off. We send out notices, and we actually just try to send out terminals and have them swap the terminals out without letting the merchant know that they need to do anything. That's part of the way our upgrade program is set up. PCI compliance. Now, this one's going to run $9.95 to $19.95 a month on the charge. When you look at both of these charges, they are truly just straight profit for the processor. In a lot of cases, they don't even share them with their independent sales offices. They just take all this into their side of the profit margin. PCI requires a test once a year, and you have to respond basically to a survey and answer some questions about how you process credit cards, how you're treating those transactions, about how many transactions you're taking, what type of terminal you've got, how that terminal is connected to the processor, whether it's a telephone line or whether it's an internet service or if it's a wireless service. And especially on PCI, we start about 90 days out, letting the merchants know that they need to take this survey, they need to get it filled out. And we get more and more urgent with the messages to them as it gets up to time. If we hit within 7 days of when their previous survey was done and they haven't responded, then they automatically go into a phone call. And literally we'll sit there and be on the phone with them and walk them through how to make that, how to make sure they get that survey done right. Not a big deal. Most processors don't worry about it because it's just an additional profit margin for them. This goes into our theory of why our customers stay with us an average of 84 months, 86 months, 87 months, whatever it is now, is because we do those little things to make sure that they don't have those hidden charges that jump up and bite them in the butt. All right, let's go to the next screen. Are you paying for things you don't need to pay for to accept debit cards? We stop processors from overcharging you. Call 911-555-9777 now. A couple of things about this script. Debit cards is the biggest thing that gets processed. That's what they all worry about. Hidden charges. A processing statement, in some cases, for a merchant that even as small as $10,000 a month in processing, sometimes that statement can be 5, 6, 7 pages long, broken down into about 10 or 15 or 20 different areas. Each one of them's got a different charge for a different amount, and most processors are not real good about disclosing how those figures are arrived at. They'll put the numbers out there, they'll supply them all, and they expect the merchant to pick the phone up and call them and ask them if they've got a question. And they'll normally be real responsive about what it is to explain it to them. But it's the idea they got to pick the phone up. Now, there are a lot of miscellaneous type fees that can be on a bank card statement. And those miscellaneous fees, in a lot of cases, are just markup for the processor. Things like merchant clubs or safety club, they'll supply 1 or 2 rolls of 50-cent a roll paper a month to a merchant and charge them $20 a month to be able to do it. Got a hard cost someplace in the neighborhood of $3, and they're generating $17 profit with it. While I may disagree with that, there are some cases where the merchants will want to do that, but not every case. Keyword in this one, while I'm sitting here thinking about it before I forget, is the word now. Goes back into my old car selling days. Salespeople would ask them, what do we need to do business? What do we need to do business today? The problem is we need to create a sense of urgency. Today, doesn't do it. This afternoon doesn't do it. We want to do business right now. We don't want them to wait 15 minutes before they call. We want them to call right now. All right, the next one. Your credit card terminal should not be an expense, but should be making you money. Stop your merchant account provider from being the only one making money. Call 911-555-9797. That one's pretty simple. We're just going to pitch the fact of how to take the Groove processing direction and use it to market with it. And you'll see we're going to come at it from a different approach here a little bit later on when we get into the POS systems. All right, let's move on into the POS systems. Simple questions. One of the things I explained to merchants is the biggest inventory that they've got is not how many quarter-pound hamburgers they've got in the freezer, or how many hamburger buns they got sitting on the shelf, or how many plates they've got, but their biggest inventory that they overlook is their customer base. And the majority of them will tell you that they recognize their customers when they come in the door, but do they know how to get a hold of them? Do they know how many customers they've really got that are regular customers? That's a lot of the way where the loyalty and the rewards program comes in. It allows a merchant to build a customer base, and that customer base is their most important inventory. All right, do you have a way to reach out to your customers and have them respond right now? Call 911-555-9777. We flip that now terminology over to a terminology that has a value for the merchant. You're training the merchant a little bit by telling them of the way they need to be thinking. Notice that a lot of these are questions. We're asking a question. People like to respond back to a question. If you just state a fact and don't have a strong call to action, you've basically got to have a stronger call to action behind a statement, as opposed to having a strong call to action behind a question. Salespeople work and base all they do off of asking questions and then shutting up and listen. Telling a potential customer something and not following it up with a question doesn't give the customer a reason to take action. All right, next one I like. If you needed to get 8 more people to walk in your door today to do business with you, would you know how to do it without spending a fortune? Call 911-555-9777. And I'd probably throw the word now in there someplace on that, or my favorite way to use the word now is right now. This one you're painting a picture with words. When you ask them if you needed to get 8 more people to walk in your door today, in the back of their mind, that merchant can see a customer walking through the door. The number 8 is one of those that is not a happen chance number. That's a number that everybody knows 2 or 3 of their customers they could call to get them in the door. But to be able to find 8, which is not a huge number, but is a big number, they hit a point where they can see 1 or 2 in their mind walking through the door, but they can't figure out how to get to that magic number of 8. And so that puts the interest that puts the interest up there for them. All right, here's the next ones. Have your customers forgot about you? Would they come in and do business with you if you asked them? Here again, we're painting that picture. Now they're going back and racking through their minds about customers they haven't seen for a while. They're going back in and asking, where is Fred? How come Jane hasn't been in 2 or 3 or 4 months? Puts enough intrigue in there that they're going to call and find out, at least find out how we suggest to do it, and then find out how much it's going to cost them. Remember, the call to action is improved by how strong the questions are, by how good you paint that picture. Best salespeople in the world are the world's best mind artists. Your customers all want to hear from you. Why haven't you reached out to them? Can't afford the time or the money? You can't afford not to reach out to them. Call me and I'll show you how. Strong statements. A little weak on the question, but a strong closing and call to action. You can get away with that. You're educating a little bit in that situation there. Now remember, as you go through these and you're looking at these, I'm not asking you to do these exactly the same way. All these are suggestions and thought starters for you. We try not to get into detail. If you give too much detail, they can make a decision without picking the phone up and calling us. One of the things I'm real big about doing, but my people are not, I like to give the phone number a couple of times. They all say that it takes up too much time and takes some of the effectiveness away. That's a judgment call that you can use on your side. My advice would be to put that in as part of your A/B testing, and just see which way works the best for you. All right, let's go to merchant cash advance. Are you short on money to pay sales tax or payroll tax? Don't let the government shut you down. Call 911-555-9777 right now. And probably as I say the words right now, it's just a habit for me to speed up how fast I say them. Tends to put a little bit of urgency into the need to call. We use this one in a couple of different ways. We change the government to the IRS, change government into state. Depends upon what time of the year, what time of where you're at in the quarter as far as paying quarterly taxes, things like that. Next one is one where there's not too many businesses out there right now that need an additional piece of equipment to keep their business up and running. Even as a car dealer, I would always have a lift or a hoist in the back of the shop that wasn't working, that in the back of my mind I'd be thinking about the fact that I needed to replace it, needed to get a better one, needed to get a different type. Manufacturers come out every year and want me to buy $100,000 worth of special tools. Not too many businesses don't need a piece of equipment today to make their business run better. We use this one up to the fact that we can get $2 million. In reality, I have a source that will go up to $5 million, but it's hard to find a business that is processing $2.5 million a month And so 2 million is a big enough number that it gets their brain to thinking. They start dreaming a little bit bigger than what they can actually do. But when the incoming calls come in, we can work them through the process of how to stair step up to do everything they need to do. I like using that big number because it gets their attention. We're not asking them if they need $5,000 or $10,000. We're telling them we can do up to $2 million. I want them dreaming. I want them thinking about how they would spend $2 million if they got it. I call that script right there my lottery script. When Powerball or one of the lotteries gets up into the $500 million, there are not many people that don't sit down and just think what they would do if they had that kind of money. This kind of plays on the same emotions with a business owner. We have lines of credit for your business, even if you have damaged credit. Could you use the money to grow your business? Call now, 911-555-9777. One of the things that business owners know that their customers don't know is not very many business owners have perfect credit. Their customers may all think that they've got all the money in the world and they've got everything whooped just because their name's on the door. But the reality is, I would say the average business owner is going to have a credit score someplace in the 600 to 700 range. If you get a business owner that's got a credit score of over 700, he's got his stuff together. Now, banks at this point in time don't like to lend business owners money unless they have a credit score that gets up into the 750, 800 range. They are looking for that. They're pretty much looking for that customer that doesn't need to borrow your money to be able to lend them money. Some of the banks will even dip down into the 720 range, but that gets almost borderline for them. Have you asked bank for the money? Have you asked the bank for money for your business and been turned down? We work with credit scores as low as 550. Call now. 911-555-9777. Takes a lot of the fear away. We're hedging our bets a little bit on all these. We're not telling them we're doing merchant cash advance. Part of the reason we're not telling them is because they really don't care. They just need to be able to get a hold of the money. Now, this is a product we haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about. It's consumer financing, consumer funding. What this is, when you walk into a tire store and they have on-the-spot credit, normally there is some sort of lending source for this. This is never going to be a huge profit center for you, but what it is, it's a way to capture that merchant. They literally, all they have to do to get approved for this is we're going to direct them to a web page, and from that web page, they will enroll in the program. Once they're, I think we've probably got a 95% approval rate on merchants bringing them on board. Once they're approved for the program, they'll be given their own web page where they can fill out the customer's information right there while the customer's standing there. They can be approved for financing on the spot. and they can complete a deal right then. Going back into the car business scenario again, one of the things we didn't want to happen was for the customer to leave the property to go look for financing. Odds were if they left to go find money, they probably wouldn't find their way back because there would be 3 or 4 dealerships they'd drive past to get back to us. So that's why car dealers do financing in-house. That's why car dealers do spot deliveries before they have complete finance approval. And so that's what we're looking at here. You get paid a percentage of the profit that the finance company does, and you get paid up front on it. Here are some of the scripts for that. Have you lost a sale because the customer needed to finance a purchase? We can solve that. Call 911-555-9777. If you need someone to finance some of your customers, call us right now. 911-555-9777. Simple, short, sweet, yes or no type questions. And most of them don't know where to go look to find somebody to finance their customers to start with. A caveat to this: think about who you send this type of notice to. You don't want to send this to restaurants, liquor stores, dry cleaners, anything like that. But you want to think about those people that have higher dollar transactions, things like stereo shops, electronics, tire, automotive repair, transmission shops, upscale clothing stores. You want to look at those merchants where they have a need to have their customers financed. Otherwise, you're just going to be wasting a dial to get to that point. All right. I will finance your customer so you can make a sale. Call so you're set up right. 911-555-9777. Using fear here a little bit. They may have a finance. This will work better for somebody that's already got a finance source, and they're just not real sure how well it's working. They're getting too many turn downs. We're portraying ourselves as the experts without having to tell everybody we're the experts. Here's one that plays right into that, to what I was talking about as a car dealer. If your customers have to leave your business to get financed, do they all come back? Call me and I'll get them financed while they're there. 911-555-9777. More of a personalized approach, so they feel like it's a real person that's going to sit down and talk to them and walk them through what to do. Doesn't make it complicated for them. They feel like they're going to build up a relationship. One of the things you can do is kind of mix and match different approaches from all these scripts into what you're promoting with your customers. You know what you feel the strongest saying. You know how you want that to come across. You've got to make this a little bit about you. So when you put those words together, it feels comfortable in your mind. There is a reason why there is not just one marketing guru in the entire world. It's because there are billions and billions of people that need to hear the message, and each one of them is going to hear it in a different way. All right, that kind of completes that. I have given Jenny a complete handout that she's going to send out once she gets this recording done up. The team started sending out tracking call numbers yesterday. They've sent out a few of the lead capture pages, and I don't think they've sent out any landing pages yet. I've actually got to have a PCI compliance officer approve the landing pages. They were supposed to have done it yesterday, and I did not get an email back from them. So once it gets daylight, I'll call my PCI compliance officer and see what the holdup is on them. Think of PCI compliance like lawyers that don't have a law degree. They try to prove how smart they are, and they will start reading they will start talking about what is. So a couple of times it will be battles with them. If something goes into writing, they've got to give their approval on it, especially if we talk about any details. We will have another training class this week. I don't know whether it will be Thursday or Friday. I have a major customer who is on national TV that is getting ready to open up another location, and I may have to be back up in Nashville again on Thursday. But we should know before the end of the day today. I'll get this stuff out to you. We'll update you as the day goes on today as far as the tracking numbers. We should have everybody's tracking numbers in hand by the end of the day today. And understand when I say the end of the day today, that for us, we are liable to work all the way up to midnight. I'm going to get this shut down. I'm going to get it over so Jenny can be ready to do it. Try to have it out to you here in just a little bit. Thank you all. Bye-bye.